if you look at number of lawyers in America, I think it's 1.3 million. If you look at number of law firms in America, it's several 100,000. And I believe Thomson Reuters did a study on the average annual gross revenue of your typical small law firm. And it came out to, I think, about 140,000 gross. And when you look at that number, this is before any overheads have been paid, any technology, software costs, any marketing costs, internet, all of these things. And you look at that number and you think, man, that's not worth it, right? So you almost, if you're going to start a law firm, you have to embrace the idea of capitalism, which nowadays, I know you hinted at it, is being somewhat demonized. I cannot understand why. Do you understand why?
Well, now I was just listening to a book on Audible about Jack Welch, and it's written by a New York Times reporter. And in the whole preface paragraph, the guy either doesn't understand or hates capitalism, hates America. Now he's writing a book about Welch, right? So I think so why is that? Now we can get philosophical. If people sat down and actually took the time to listen to what we're talking about, which is capitalism is you and I creating win-win relationships. No force or fraud. I'm not going to cheat you. You and I are trying to make 1 + 1 = 5 by doing something, by entering a relationship together. I sell you an iPhone. You feel you're better off because you have the iPhone. I feel I'm better off because I have the money. That was how Apple was built. That's capitalism, right? So capitalism is not liars, cheaters, and stealers, right? We're all against cheaters. But, I create a business and you want to come work here? Well, you have to work to my standards. Here's the pay I offer, right? I wasn't created just to make jobs. I was created to make me happy first. But if you come here, one of the things that we're good at here, Michael, is if you come here, and I got this in part from you at a conference that you were at with us, is I'm going to make you better. In fact, I'm going to make you so good that you could go and compete with me. But if I do my job right, you won't want to. I'll build a culture here so good that you would not want to go even though you could. Because as you said when you spoke several years ago, what happens if they don't get better in 5 years? That's a horrible place to be.
Yeah. And look, I'll also say that, when you look at all this, even profit is demonized, but you would think that if you've got to make it worth it for the business owner. I always think about that because if I come across somebody, let's say it's a law firm owner, and they're exhausted and they're not making any money and they're frustrated and they just literally hate the world, you think, well, that's not worth it, right? So you would think that if you could grow your organization in a way where by growing more revenue, now you're able to invest more in your team. You can hire, you can create additional jobs, you can support your community at a higher level. All these things are good things, So I agree with you 100%. I think it ultimately at the end of the day has to make sense for the person taking all the risk.
It does, but also, there's an ethical thing here too, which is if you're taking on, say, a plaintiff's case and you are underfunded and you can't pay the rent and you can't pay the lights, well, are you going to go out and get the best experts? Are you going to get the best exhibits? Are you going to get the best technology? We have this ethical obligation to be able to provide this not just the same level of lawyer expertise, but for particular cases to provide all of the right technology for the case. And so, lawyers who make more money and are happier are going to, almost by definition, they're going to end up getting a better result for the client because it's the stressed out lawyer who's worried about whether the lights are going to turn on Monday. How is he or she going to write the best brief over the weekend? It doesn't work that way. So you and I are in agreement that this is about win-win. And the client wins. The world wins when two people get together and figure out how to trade value for value.